So, for those of you who don't know, I grew up in the American public school system. I moved a lot growing up, which I might cover in another video, but for now, let's just talk about middle school. When I was in the 7th grade, I was eating the lunchroom, aka the cafeteria, with a few friends. Now, this is when schools in the South all began to have school resource officers in every school pretty much. For those of you who are confused, it's basically a toned down police officer. At this school, they only had tasers, no guns, which is good because of what happened next. Fight between a couple of girls broke out, and at first people were laughing, but then the boyfriends began duking it out, and it quickly devolved into chaos, with everyone either fighting, throwing food, cheering them on, or trying to record everything with their phones. The teachers did try to get the situation under control, but the moment one of them got kicked in the stomach and got downed, they basically backed off. This is when the school resource officers came in, and at first the students tried to calm down while also hiding their involvement, but one of the girls from the original group basically decided to go nutso. She somehow managed to take the taser off or away from the school resource officer and tase him with his own taser. The moment that happened, all hell broke loose. Students either trying to escape in a panic or joining in the chaos, teachers trying to run away or calm everyone down, and the school resource officers trying their best to basically take down anyone they saw as responsible. Now, me and my friends basically joined the people trying to get the hell out of there, but I was one of the very few people who actually managed to get out of the cafeteria before the entire faculty basically locked it down. After the cafeteria was locked down, I basically hid in the bathroom until everything calmed down, and everyone finally got released to head to their next class. Apparently, despite the school having cameras everywhere, the rumor the cameras were cheap and blurry had been true. Because of this, it was hard for them to pinpoint all the actual guilty students who caused problems, with obvious exception to the one girl who tased the school resource officer. She had way too many witnesses to not get caught. Fast forward about 2 classes later, I get called into the principal's office. Now, I had understood the school was definitely going to do a whole investigation into everything, but this definitely caught me off guard. After all, even though I was there, I wasn't anywhere near the core of the storm. I also wasn't friends with anyone who was. I also didn't join in the chaos, and the only thing I could think of getting in trouble for was standing on the table in order to get clear of view for the safest path my friends and I to reach the exit. I thought maybe they wanted to give me a warning about that, as they like to have any reason to have a problem with students like me. It would likely say I was not helping the situation by acting like a hooligan. Yeah, they actually used that word to refer to me multiple times in the past. Once I get into the principal's room though, the vibe of the room was much more serious than a simple warning. There was the principal, 2 school resource officers, a regular police officer with a gun, and one of the guidance counselors. The moment I sat down, they closed the door, and the principal didn't hesitate at accusing me of starting the riot. He claimed that I instigated the other students, led the charge, got an officer injured, and they would be contacting my parents to discuss my punishment. He let the words hang in the air with a dramatic pause, as if he caught some criminal mastermind. My knee-jerk reaction was, "The fuck are you talking about?" with confusion completely shown on my face. Principal scowled my bad language and got red in the face while spitting out how they got me on camera, how I'd be expelled, and was lucky they weren't pressing charges. I won't lie, the moment I heard about charges, I about shit myself. For context, my mom wasn't perfect, but she was strict about not drinking, doing drugs, and breaking the law as a kid. I knew she'd kill me for getting expelled, much less getting charges, and my mind went into overdrive. Within seconds, I remembered the positions of the camera in the cafeteria, where it was in relation to them, the rumors about the cameras, and how up until now, I had never pushed the rules far enough to get detention. Warnings and standing outside the classroom, yeah, but never detention. That's when I calmed down, stared down the principal, and called his bluff. See, with the angle of the camera that would have been watching the source of the riot, I would have been out of frame, if not barely in frame. I was also nowhere near the girl who tased the officer, nor did I have any classes with her. On top of all of this, the fact that according to the grapevine, the only other student they had actually caught had been Taser Girl. So if their cameras really could tell the students apart, it made no sense how barely any students had been caught. I told the principal he was lying. The cameras were broken, and if he calls my mom, he better have the perfect proof. He threw on a shit-eating grin and pulled the phone, pulling up my mom's phone number and stared at me as if to call my bluff. I gave a shit-eating grin of my own and said the moment my mom gets here, we'll demand to be shown the camera footage which proves I was the one who started the riot. I glanced at the other adults in the room who seemed to think I was just a stupid kid, but I saw the principal hesitate. That was all I needed to know. He was full of shit. I told him the only thing I did was stand on the table during the riot to find a safe path out of there for my friends. And if they wanted to punish me for that with detention, fine. But I was not going to get expelled for something I didn't do without proof. Principal froze for a moment, put the phone down, and said, "Since you're willing to accept responsibility for your actions, I'll let this go for detention. If you pull anything again, however, you will not have a place in this school. Understood?" Based on the flabbergasted expressions of the police officers and the confusion of the guidance counselor, I knew this principal was pulling this out of his ass. Regardless, I rolled my eyes and agreed, making it clear I knew this was all for show. I got 2 weeks of detention, which was instantly changed to ISS, aka in-school suspension, and it was dropped after a week due to good behavior. So yeah, that's the story of how I almost got expelled due to a school riot. This is my first storytime video, so I hope you enjoyed it. And leave a like or a comment down below if you could. Stay safe, friends and foes.